Okay, everyone, welcome to our lesson on declare a play in no trumps. Now, what we're going to focus on today is we're going to focus on how you maximize your tricks in no trump contracts by balancing the distinct acts. And that, when I mean by distinct acts, I mean doing things such as making sure you've got control in all of the suits and to also make sure that you're attacking the right suits. So, the one thing I've noticed with no trump play when I teach new players is that I find that when I teach new players about no trumps, I always say, always play your longest suit first. So I find that when they do that, if that long suit is what we call a solid suit, that is, you've got all of the top honors, they play that off immediately. And that's fair enough because that's the instruction that I'm giving them. But I'm here to tell a lot of you, having a lot of you have played for a long time, that there is other ways to manage hands such as this. And I always find that in no trump hands, hands where you have all of the top honor cards and even length in the suit, those suits are often a good suit to use to go back and forth between declarer and dummy. So it's not necessarily the suits where the tricks are already developed that you should play first. It's the next suit where you're missing some top cards. And you can obviously count winners, etc. Let's look at this example hand. This is a basic example number one here, that I give to a lot of new players when they first start to play hands in no trump. So example number one here. You've got 3 6-card fits, that is 6 cards in spades, 6 in the clubs, and 6 in the hearts. And within those 3 suits, you've got a total of 8 tricks. But where's your 9th trick going to come from? One of the problems people have with hands like this when they're new players is that they tend to play off their short suits first. Once they do that, if you play a suit with less than 6 cards, less than 7 cards, that means the opponents have more cards than you. And the whole idea of no trumps is to set up the suits with the length, that is the small cards. Use the bigger cards to drive out the opponent's honors, and then use the smaller cards in order to take the extra tricks. So in a hand such as this, you can see that you've got the ace king of spades, ace king queen of hearts, ace king queen of clubs. So you can't actually squeeze any further tricks out of those 3 suits. The only suit you can squeeze cards out of, or tricks out of, is the diamond suit. So whatever suit the opponents win, that is, let's say clubs or hearts, then you'd immediately play a diamond. What happens in no trumps, it tends to be a battle of attrition. So the opponents lead one long suit, you play your long suit, they perhaps win the lead and then play their long suit again, and it becomes this battle to see if who can develop their long suit first. So once we get in, we would play diamonds, and when we get in 3 times, we would play diamonds 3 times. Once we've played them 3 times, the ace, king, queen are gone, and we can enjoy the 4th round of diamonds, and that would be our 9th trick. So that's how you would play a hand such as example number 1. And that's a classic case of playing your longest suit, that is a suit of 7 or more cards, in order to be able to develop the length in that suit. Let's look at some other techniques when it comes to playing hands in no trumps. Now, if clubs were trumps on example number 2 here, that wouldn't be an issue in order to get to dummy, because you'd be able to obviously trump a heart in your hand, and then you'd be able to enjoy the long clubs that way. But imagine you're in 3 no trump. If you're in 3 no trump, the only entries that you have in the dummy hand are the ace king of clubs. So how would you play a hand like this? Well, you wouldn't play off the queen jack of clubs and pop the 4 and the 3 on them, because if you did that, you would never ever get back to the dummy hand without the opponents taking all of their tricks. So let's assume that the opponents lead a diamond here, and we take the 3rd round of diamonds with the ace. We would then play the queen of clubs, dropping the 3, and then play the jack of clubs and overtake in dummy with the king. Now, we've got to hope that the suit breaks 3-2 in this instance, but what are your choices otherwise? Or your chances otherwise they're completely slim. So a hand like this, it's a case of taking the first round of clubs and then playing the other honor, and despite it being a potential winner, you can overtake it in dummy, and then hopefully the suit breaks 3-2. But if it doesn't break 3-2, you're not going to be successful. Yep. Having said that, if it doesn't break 3-2, what are your choices otherwise? Well, the opponents, when they get in, even if the suit doesn't break 3-2 in clubs, if you took the Queen Jack of clubs and dropped the 4 and the 3, once you play the Ace King of hearts off, I think that's the end of your hand. The opponents will take a bunch of diamond winners, they'll take a bunch of heart winners, and the Ace King of clubs will be stranded in dummy. So what we do on the hand like this is that we play for, or we hope for, the best. The best is the 3-2 club break. So take the first club, play the second club honor, and overtake with the king. Then you're in the dummy hand. You can cash the ace. Hopefully the suit will break 3-2, which it will 68% of the time. Pretty good odds. And then you can take 6 club tricks to go with your ace, king, ace. So that's a way that you can overtake, or in some respects, unblock as well. We spoke about unblocking the other day when we had the hand. I'll pop it up on the board here. We had a hand, I'm not having much luck with my notes here. It's okay, this will do, this will be fine. So here we go. Another hand that we had yesterday where we were playing 6 no trump, and the diamonds in dummy were Queen Jack 5-4, and Declarer had in diamonds the ace and the king. So once the ace was cashed and then the king was cashed early on, remember we left the Jack of clubs as an entry in dummy? Well, we were able then to come back to the Jack of clubs in order to take the winning queen and Jack of diamonds. So that's a case of unblocking. And you'll find in a lot of no trump hands, you have to use that technique of unblocking. And the reason that it's more prevalent in no trumps than it is in a trump contract is that in trump contracts, you can often get back and forth between the hands via the trump suit. But in no trumps, you can only get back and forth if suits are blocked via entries in the other suits. And that's what we're trying to look at more and more today on hands in no trump declarer play. Okay, have a look at example number 3 down here. You've got ace king 6 times in clubs opposite 3-2. But let's say in the declarer's hand, you don't have any other honor cards. So it's a very similar holding to this one, except we're missing the Queen Jack of clubs. How would you play that suit? Any thoughts? Well, we're hoping that the suit breaks 3 and 2, and we have to lose a trick in the suit, even if it does break 3 and 2. Therefore, the best way to play a suit such as this is to play the 2 on the first round and drop the 4 in declarer's hand. That way, the opponents have won their trick that they're entitled to. Picture the layout something like this. Ace, king, 7, 6, 5, 4. Opposite, 3 and 2. And the opponents have Queen, Jack on this hand and 10, 9, 8 in this hand. So if that's the layout of the suit, if the north hand here had no other entry in another suit, simply playing ace, king and another would mean that yes, you'll set up the long clubs in your hand, but you have no entry to get back. So that's why we have to maintain this communication between declarer and dummy. How do we do that? Well, we play the 4 on the first round of the suit, and we duck it in both hands. We let the opponents win their trick. And then later on, we lead the 3, come back to the ace and the king. The ace drops 1 round. The king drops the last card in the opponent's suit, and then the rest of the cards become winners. So often if you have to lose a suit, and there's many other combinations of suits like that come up. I'll give you another example. We've got this one, ace, 8, 5, 4, 3, opposite king 6-2, and the opponent's suits break queen jack 10 on this hand and 9 and 7 in this hand. But let's say that the hand with the long cards here, that is the north hand in this instance, north, south, the north hand has the length. If the north hand has the length but doesn't have any entries in the other suits, or doesn't have an entry that you want to waste or you want to use early, what's the best way to play this suit? Well, the best way to play this suit is to lead the 3 and duck in both hands on the first round of the suit. The opponents win the 10. Later on, you play the king, and then you lead the 6, and you're across now in the north hand where the length is. You lead the 6 to the ace, which drops the queen, and then now you're in the correct hand and you can run the last 2 tricks. These suit combinations come up regularly, everyone, and I do mean regularly. So don't overlook them, and also remember that if you don't need to waste an entry, don't waste an entry. Let's rub that out, and let's move on because we've got a lot of suit combinations to talk about today with no trumps. So that's what we mean when we say maintaining transport between declarer and dummy. Have a look at this example hand. East-West playing in 3 no trump. Yep, this will come up a little bit later again, everyone, this hand. I've popped it in the hands at the end of the session. And North leads the king of spades. So what's the plan on this hand? Well, East-West have 1 trick in spades. The ace-king of hearts is 3. The ace-king queen of diamonds is 6. The diamonds might break 3-3. That'll get us to 7. But the clubs are the suit that we have to use in which to take extra tricks. What do you do on this hand? Well, when you have combinations such as ace to 3 opposite 2 small, if the opponent's suit breaks 5 and 3, there's a possibility you can cut communication between the opponents. So when they lead the king, South follows with the 6 and you duck. That's 1 of South's spades are gone. They play the queen, South follows with the 7 and you duck again. So that's 2 of South's spades have gone. North plays a 3rd round of spades, West wins the ace, and South's spades are cleared out. West now plays the king of clubs, and through luck, well, 50-50 chance, it's South who has the ace of clubs, not North. If North had it, North would win that trick and take their winners. But South has it, they win the ace of clubs, and South has no more spades left. So simply what we've done here, everyone, is we've cut communication between North and South in our no trump contract. Let's move on and let's look at some of these combinations that you face between declarer and dummy. Again, example number 4, I spoke about that just then. You would duck the first 2 rounds with ace to 3 opposite 5-4 if you were declaring in a no trump contract. Let's have a look at example 5 here. The opponents lead the spade king again. How should you play this combination? Well, you've got ace 3-2 opposite jack 4. Well, the jack here is actually a red herring because the opponents, when they lead the king, if you duck it, then they'll lead the queen the next time around, pinning dummy's jack, and then you have to duck as well. So again, with this holding, you would duck until the 3rd round. Now let's look at example 6. All we've done here is we've transferred one of declarer's cards across to dummy. This changes the entire hand. When North player here leads the king, what are they promising? The queen. So if they're promising the queen, then the king, when it's led, if dummy plays low, West should win with the ace immediately. Why? Because then you're left with the jack and another card, and it's sitting over the top of the queen. So the jack becomes a second entry. Everyone, it's a very good idea to learn all of these scenarios. I'll keep going with them. Example number 7. In example 7 here, everyone, North leads, let's say, a low card. They lead the 5. How should you play? Jack 10 another in dummy, opposite ace 2 in your hand? Well, when they lead a low card, there's every chance, or in fact, they certainly will or should have an honor. If that's the case, if North has either 1 or 2 honors, when I say North, I mean the player making the lead of the low spade, then as long as you play the Jack in dummy, if South contributes an honor, you must win the ace. That way, the 10 is sitting over the top of the other honor card. So let's show you how that would probably look. I'm still keen on getting this happening with a bigger page here, everyone. No, I'm not getting any luck with that. Okay, not today. So here we go. Imagine this was the scenario. King 8, 7, 5, 2. Dummy 3. Dummy has Jack 10, 4. South has Queen 9, and whatever the other baby card is, I think it's the 6. And you as declarer have ace and 2. So they've led the 5. You play the Jack and dummy. South contributes the Queen. So now you mustn't duck, you must win with the ace. Why? Because now you've got the 10 and another card in dummy sitting over the top of the king. And that will be able to get you a second entry. Okay, let's have a look at this example here, example number 8. Here, the North again leads the 5 of spades, but instead of having Jack 10 in dummy, you have Jack 9. You have Jack 9. So if that's the case, then no, good. Back to example 8 here, everyone. Sorry, I'm just trying to get the software to work. Ace 2 opposite Jack 9, 4. When North leads a low card, now it's slightly different to example 7 because instead of having the 10 in dummy with the Jack, you've got the 9. So what you're aiming to do here, everyone, is to force South to play an honor. Now, if North has led from either the King and 10 or the Queen and 10, then your 9 will be able to push out an honor in the North hand. So let's have a look at how that would work. Imagine the scenario again is like this. Dummy has Jack 9, 4, as we suggested, and declarer has ace 2. North leads again the 5. If you play the 9 here, and it forces out, let's say, the Queen, you would win with the ace, and then you would hope that the other top honor, that is the King, is sitting in the North hand. Now, what are the odds of success here? Well, in order for that to happen, you've got to hope that South doesn't hold the 10. So our aim there is that if South held the Queen and the 10, then this wouldn't work. But if they had the Queen and the 10, nothing would work. What would be an alternate play? An alternate play would be to hope that North, when they led the 5, has underled from the King and the Queen. So if they've underled, let's say they've got that, if you led the 5, now the Jack would win the trick. So what are the odds here? Are the odds more likely for North to hold King, Queen, or for North to hold King 10 or Queen 10? Well, there's your answer. King 10 and Queen 10 is twice as likely as King, Queen. So if that's the case, then you're not going to play North for this holding. You're going to play North to hold either King 10 or Queen 10. So it's twice as likely North will have that holding, which is why in example number 8, the best played card to play from dummy at trick 1 is the 9. And the 9 will hopefully then force out an honor in the South hand. Have a look at example 9 here. North leads the King. Which card should you play? When dummy plays the 4, make sure you win the ace. because now you've got the jack and the 10 as equals against the other top honor. So as I said, your holding on this hand is ace, jack, 2, opposite 10 and 4. The opponents lead a low card. What did we say they led? They led the king, high card, king, 4, low card. You win with the ace. Why? Because you've got the jack and the 2 here and the 10 in dummy, and the 10 will force out the queen later and your jack will become a winner. Let's compare that, however, to example 10, when the 10 is not in dummy. When the 10 is not in dummy, when you've got the 5 in dummy here, ace, jack, 2, opposite 5 and 4, they lead the king. If you play the 4 in dummy and South plays a low card, which they will, then if you took the ace, you would be sitting in a perilous position with the jack and the 2, knowing that North is sitting over the top of you with the king and the queen, and at least the 10 or the 9, and that's a perfect way to lose 2 tricks. So what must you do on a hand such as this? It's called the Deschapelle coup. Oh my goodness. Which button to push? When North wins the king and dummy plays the 4, South plays low, you should also play low. What can North do now? Well, if North leads another spade, they run it around into your ace jack, and you must take 2 tricks. If North avoids the suit, then they can't take any more tricks, meaning that what I'm saying is your crucial or the opponent's crucial suit is no longer in play because they must abandon the suit. So you've got a lifeline thrown to you simply by ducking in both hands. Everyone, have a look at those combinations because they come up regularly in no trumps. Let's have a look at a few more combinations here. Something that's called the two-way finesse. Everyone, with this two-way finesse here, you've got, it's an 8 ever, 9 never situation. Harleen's asked a question. In no trumps, I thought you need to have 3 honors to lead top of. No, Harleen, not necessarily. The modern scenario is when leading from an honor sequence is that if your honor sequence in no trumps is headed by the ace king or the king queen, there's a good case to lead top of the sequence with only 2 cards. Now, if you happen to have 3, all the better, or you happen to have a near sequence such as king queen 10, ace king jack. But there was a great book on statistics and no trump leads that came out about 5 or 6 years ago, and the odds are that when you have ace king or king queen, you should lead the top of the sequence even if you only hold 2 cards, because often when you underlead both of them, you often give away a cheap trick to the opponents that they wouldn't normally be entitled to. So just bear that in mind. It's not always right, of course, but the odds are slightly in favor of no longer needing 3 honors to lead top of the sequence in a no trump contract. Let's have a look at example 11. 8 ever, 9 never. That means that you're not going to cash the ace king expecting the queen to fall. You're actually going to take a finesse. So often it depends on which way, which hand is dummy. Let's say in this scenario, the west hand is the dummy hand. The way I would play a combination like this, especially if I have no idea where the queen is that I would lead the jack from the east hand and see if South covers it or not. Yep, if they cover it, that's easy. We've got the rest of the tricks. But quite often what will happen here is that even if South does hold the queen, they will often flicker, meaning that they'll give it a moment's thought as to whether they should cover or not. And if you find that they do give it a moment's thought, then there's a good chance that they hold the queen. And they're simply thinking for a moment about whether to cover it or not. Now, a word of warning to anyone who'd be sitting in the south seat here. If you sat in the south seat here and you didn't hold the queen and you deliberately flickered, that would not be the right thing to do, everyone. that would simply be against the spirit of the game. So never deliberately flicker when you don't hold a card. So that was my suggestion here, is that if South did flicker, then I might actually finesse them on the first round of the suit. If they don't flicker, then I would rise with the king and take a finesse through East the other way. Again, similar scenario here. The only problem with this one is that I may be worried about a 4-1 break. So if I'm worried about a 4-1 break, then I can only pick up all 4 tricks if the queen is singleton or North holds all of the cards to the queen, 4 cards to the queen. So with this one, because I lack the 9, I might simply play the 3 across to the king and take 2 finesses through the North hand. Let's keep going with a couple of more of these examples. Example number 13 here. And everyone, this is exactly the same as the examples above, except we're simply taking everything down 1 level. Instead of missing the queen, now we're missing the ace and the jack. So again, we would finesse for the jack with this holding. But how should you go about doing that? Well, again, like I've suggested, if the West hand was dummy and I was sitting with these East cards, I would lead the 10, hoping to tempt a cover from the South hand. Yep, if I get a flicker, then I might run the 10 and on the first round of the suit. If South doesn't flicker, then I feel I'll probably hop up with the king and then finesse the 9 on the way back. So this is like an 8 ever, 9 never situation, but instead of finessing for the queen, which you would holding ace, king, jack, you finesse for the jack because the jack is not likely to drop in 2 rounds. So this is an example of 8 ever, 9 never, not with ace, king, jack, but with king, queen, 10. What's a flicker? Good question. You notice when you play, Zan, that at the table, some players think about honor card. So you play an honor, and the opponents fidget and fumble a bit, and then finally produce a card. More often than not, this isn't because they can't find the cards in their hand. It's normally because they're actually thinking about whether they should cover the honor that you're leading. So players often cover 10s, they often cover jacks, etc. And in this instance, if they do flicker, then I believe that there's every chance that they may hold the key missing card. Okay, delayed finesses. This is an interesting one. This is one that you should have a closer look a little bit later, example 14. It's the toughest out of all of them. The classic way to play a hand like this is that normally you would cash the ace and the king. Yep. And if they break 3-2, you're quite happy. But another way to play a hand such as this is to initially play the ace or the king, leading towards it. Yeah. If an honor appears, an honor, that is the queen, the jack, or the 10 in the North hand, how would you play the next round, or what should you do on the next round of play? You should then lead the 2 out of hand. I'll show you how that works here on the board. So these are the 2 hands. 8, 7, 6, 5, opposite, ace, king, 9, 2. You lead the ace, and let's say the 10 appears here. Well, if the 10 appears here on the first round of the suit, there's a possibility that 10 may be a singleton. So if that's the case, it can't hurt you to play a low card from your hand on the next round of the suit. If West holds the queen, jack, 4-3, which is a possibility, the player will go ace, 10, 5, 3. And then when you lead the 2, and this hand shows out, the 6 or the 8, or you don't even need the 7 and the 6 in dummy, it may just be the 8. Yep. Would force out a top honor, and then later on you would finesse through the queen into the king and the 9. So that's it's a bit like a safety play. There was one that I showed you in a hand the other day, a more simple version of it. where we were playing in a slam and we held ace, king, 9, 6, 2, or thereabouts, opposite jack, 4, 3. How do you play this combination? Well, you first of all play the ace. And let's say this is a trump suit where you can afford to lose a trick, and the opponents play the 5 and the 6, and you play the 3 in dummy. Now you lead the 2. If the east hand turns out to have all of the cards, the missing cards, that is, queen, 10, 7, 5, if east turns out to have all those missing cards, then the 5 has gone on the first round of the suit. And when you lead the 2 towards or through the queen, what's going to happen? East will have to hop up with the queen, and then your jack and your king will both be winners. Yes? If it turns out that it's west who holds all of the missing cards, that is, I'll pop our little table in the middle here again, a tinier table, everyone, because we have a tinier screen. If east first follows with the 5, and west's cards are queen, 10, 8, and 7, what's going to happen? Well, the ace was played on the first round, the 5 went, the 7 went, and then when you lead the 2, east shows out, your jack forces out the queen, so the opponents take their trick. But now you've got the king and the 9 sitting over the top of the 10 and the 8. Everyone, have a look at this combination because it comes up quite regularly. And if you want to make sure that you don't lose 2 tricks in the suit, that's how you should play it. Let's rub that out. And everyone, there's one quick thing I want to show you before we play our hands. I'll show you quickly this one. Well, this one, if you want to maximize your tricks, it doesn't matter whether you want to maximize and take all 4 or simply take 3. You always cash the ace and the king. That way, if the queen or the 10 drop, then you'll have a third trick. If, for instance, you cash the ace and the king, and south here follows with the queen on the second or the first round of the suit, now you can lead the 2 and safely finesse the 9. Now, last thing I want to chat about here is something called the principle of restricted choice. Now, try and focus on this, everyone, and think about how you should approach it. Now, if this was ace-jack here to 4 opposite king to 4, you would take the king and then you would retain the ace-jack, what we call 10-ace. But in this instance, it's not that. In this instance, you've got the ace-10. Well, that is sort of like a 10-ace. And I'll show you why it's sort of like a 10-ace. You've got 9 cards in the suit, so you're probably going to play ace, the king and then the ace, hoping that the suit breaks 2-2. But what if this scenario occurs? I'm just going to change them for convenience here, everyone. I'm going to put king 4, 3, 2 in the south hand, ace, 10, 7, 6, 5 in the north hand. So, as I said, we're retaining the 10-ace to play on the second round of the suit. So we're taking the top card opposite that first. So we play the king, and the play goes king, king, 8, 5, jack. So now something interesting has happened. A top honor has fallen in the east hand. So now remember the rule of 8 ever, 9 never. We say that the suit is likely to break 2-2. Well, if south had not followed with the jack, but had actually followed with the 9, then, oh, that would be easy. You'd have to cash the ace the next time. But when they've followed with the jack, the question you have to ask yourself is it more likely that jack is a singleton jack, or is it more likely it's queen jack doubleton? Any thoughts? Any thoughts? Should I play them for a singleton jack or queen jack doubleton, everyone? They've got, you mean they've got none left? A singleton. Singleton, and the reason it's actually, the odds are 2-1 In someone said they've got no idea. Okay, let me tell you this. It's 2-1 in favor that jack is a singleton jack, not queen jack doubleton. And why is that? Well, if it's a singleton jack or a singleton queen, for that matter, it's the same scenario, then the player in that seat has no choice but to play that card. Yep. But if they did happen to hold queen jack doubleton, then they would have a choice as to which card they played. They might have played the queen sometimes, and they might have played the jack sometimes. So they would actually have a choice as to which card they played if they had queen jack doubleton. So the theory is, it's what Terence Rees called the principle of restricted choice. And that is, it's most likely that the card they play is the only card they have because they have no choice. Therefore, in this scenario, on the second round of the suit, you should lead the 2, and when this hand plays low, we're going to assume that that was a singleton jack. When this hand plays low, you should finesse the 10 on the next round of the suit. It's what is referred to as the principle of restricted choice. Okay, let's have a look at some hands, everyone. Change the share and pop a new share on. Oh, happened. Sorry, everyone. I had the hands ready, but my computer decided to have a meltdown. So excuse me for a second. I'll just get the hands up on the board. And we'll show you 3 hands because we've already done one of them in our lesson already. But the other 3 are quite interesting. There we are. Hand number 1. Pop it up on the board. There we go. Okay, so let's have a quick look at the auction. Look at the south hand for starters. North opens a spade. South bids 2 clubs. North bids 2 hearts, showing 5-4. And South, well, one of the options may have been to go to 3 no trumps straight away. You have a double stopper in the unbid suit. But what if partner turns out to have 6 cards and spades? If they did hold 6 cards and spades, you may prefer to play in a 4-spade contract. So we use 4th suit forcing. Partner bids 3 hearts, promising 5-5. And now it's pretty clear that you go to 3 no trump. And the opening lead is the 10 of diamonds. How should we look at the play of this hand, everyone? Any thoughts? On the jack of diamonds, East covers with the king. Do we win it or do we duck? Duck. You've got two winners. So often ducking on the 3rd round is when you don't have 2 winners. Now that the king is produced, I think with the 2 entries, my preference is to win because I don't really want the opponent switching to hearts or spades here. I think that with 2 winners, I think I'll win the ace. Good, thank you. Okay, we win the ace. And now, as I've suggested here, perhaps we should play a club now. Well, if the clubs are 3-2, then that means that with our 6-2 fit, we can lose a trick and then take 5 tricks from the suit. But what would happen if I took ace king of clubs and then played a 3rd club? If the opponents got wind that I had the queen of diamonds, and they could do that because on the 3rd round of clubs, West might signal to East that they don't want a diamond returned. If you don't get a diamond returned, that means you've got no entry back to your luscious clubs. So if you're going to lose a club here, the best option, everyone, is to lose the first round of clubs. So you duck a club. You play low in both hands. East wins. And now it doesn't matter whether East plays a diamond or not, because the 5 of clubs is your entry back to the south hand. So East turns around and does play a diamond. You win the queen. You take the ace of clubs now. And the king of clubs. The queen drops. So now you enjoy all of your club winners. These 2 clubs. You also have the ace of hearts and the ace king of spades. So that's a pretty comfortable 10 tricks on this hand. And you can see what would have happened had you played ace king of clubs early. If you played ace king of clubs early, North would have been left with no clubs. And everyone, don't go halfway. Don't play the ace of clubs and then play a low club. Because if you do that, North still has no clubs left to get back to your hand. So that's what's imperative on hands like this, to make sure that if you're going to lose a trick, and if you can afford to duck it, duck the first round. Okay, let's move on to another hand as soon as I can find it. And number 2, another hand I like very much. Everyone, I did have these hands ready for you, but just before the lesson, my computer froze, so I had to turn it all off. Okay, so Rhonda asked a question, when does forcing show you have it covered and not ask your partner has it? Yes, as I said, Rhonda, good question. South could have gone to 3-no trump straight away. But if you have visions of a contract other than 3-no trump, and South did actually have visions because South had a doubleton spade in partner's first bid suit, and if partner turned out to hold 6 spades, perhaps South may have preferred to be in 4 spades rather than 3-no trump. Well, everyone, have a look at this hand. Here we are. We're in 3-no trump again. Let's look at the option though. I'm going to focus a little bit on the north hand rather than the south hand. South opens a diamond, North bids a spade, South bids a no trump. Everyone, if you play check back, you could actually use check back on this particular hand. You've got 13 points. You've got 5-4 in the majors. If you bid 2 clubs and partner bid, let's say 2 hearts, you'd be fine. If partner bid 2 diamonds, you could bid 2 hearts, and that would promise 5-4 in the majors. But the tricky thing about that is that you'd have to start doing some jumping if your check back was not forcing. So a really simple way to play it without playing check back is bids at the 2 level are non-forcing, bids at the 3 level are forcing. So North therefore has shown 5 spades and 4 hearts and enough for game. Well, South, without a fit, simply goes to 3-no trump. West leads the 5 of clubs. Well, this looks good. It may be threatening. If East wins the ace of clubs and returns a club, that could be very bad for us. But if we got to win the trick, which suit should we be attacking immediately? Does anyone think that the suit we should be attacking is diamonds? Who has that thought? Spades? Everyone, this is a classic example of where the diamond suit looks like it doesn't need any help. See, if you start playing diamonds here, what happens is you take away these crucial entries to the north hand. And this is what I mean about suits that are already established should be held back a little bit on quite a number of no trump hands. And then you should attack the next suit that needs to have establishment, meaning the spade suit here is missing the ace. So as soon as we play a top spade, then the opponents can win with the ace, and then we have a bunch of spade winners. So first things first, let's see what happens in the club suit. King of clubs is played, and that holds the trick. Where's the ace of clubs, everyone? Is it in the west hand or the east hand? You have to remember this because later on when the opponents get to play clubs, you might be called into question as to whether it should be in the east or the west hand. So everyone, the presumption is it must be in the west hand because surely east would have won the king of clubs with the ace and just simply returned a club to west's known long suit. Fair thought? So put in the back of your mind that the ace of clubs is in the west hand. Okay, we've decided that once we win the lead, we're going to play spades. So that's what we do. We play a spade immediately to knock out the ace, and east popped up with the ace straight away. Interesting. Follow suit. And now they play a club. Well, everyone, where's the ace of clubs? West. So we know that if we play the queen, we'll definitely lose to the ace. But West has the ace of clubs, but hasn't promised the jack of clubs. So I think the only choice we have here is to play east for the jack of clubs. And that means which card do we play, the queen or the 10? Anyone? Quickly, queen or 10? The 10, exactly. So we contribute the 10. And if West turns out to hold the jack with the ace, c'est la vie. There's nothing we can do. But it wouldn't have helped to play the queen. In fact, the queen is known to be wrong. The 10 could be right 50% of the time. So we play the 10. And that's what happens. It forces out the ace, and now our queen is high. Well, West continues the club suit. We win with the queen. Now, everyone, we spoke about things such as unblocking. Well, this is a classic case of unblocking. Which card do we need to unblock now before we play another suit? Any thoughts? The king of spades, exactly. So we unblock the king of spades because the jack and the 10 are winners. That's what we do. Unblock the king of spades. Now you can see the value of keeping our diamonds because now we've got our communication between declarer and dummy. And now we play a low diamond, or the jack pops. Watch these cards, everyone. When high cards like that pop up, put them in the back of your mind that perhaps the 10 is sitting in the east hand. It might be something to remember for later. We win the ace. We were in dummy now to cash the 2 spades, so that's what we do. Sorry, we're going to cash the king of diamonds now, pardon me, just to see what that jack of diamonds held. Sorry, pardon me. For some reason I've just resume share. There we go, everyone. Sorry about that. My fingers are playing around on the keyboard. We play the king of diamonds next, and West shows out. So East's 10 of diamonds is finessable because you've got the queen and the 10. But you're in dummy, so let's take our 2 winning spades. Take the jack of spades, and then take the 10 of spades, discarding our 2 hearts. Then lead the 3 of diamonds. 8 goes, finesse the 9, and then you've got all of the last few tricks. The 6 of diamonds is a winner, ace of hearts is a winner. I think that's a good hand, everyone, to have a look at. It involves a lot of things. It involves card reading, it involves unblocking suits, and it involves, I'm hoping one of the most important things that you've gained from this lesson is that when you hold the top cards, even in your longest suit, then that suit may not be the right suit to play as soon as you gain the lead. That could be the suit that you need to use in order to have transport back and forth between declarer and dummy. Everyone, we've got one more hand. Oops. My mouse is not moving now. My computer is completely frozen. How interesting. Here we go, it's moving again. And you see, you're not the only ones who have technical trouble. Let's pop in hand number 4, everyone. There we go, hand number 4. Last hand for the day. Okay, let's have a look at this option. We've got a 5 card stamen option here, everyone. Decided to throw one in there for you. North opens a no trump. Now, if you like 5 card stamen, this to me would be a hand where I would use 5 card stamen, just in case partner has 5 cards in spades. So that's what I do. I ask partner, and partner says minimum no 5 card major. Oh well, not worried anymore. So now I just simply bid 3 no trump. If it turns out partner has weak hearts, well, I can't imagine there's a better contract than 3 no trump with 2 balanced hands. So partners declare in 3 no trump, and the opponents lead the 5 of hearts. The 10 appears from west. What do we know about the 10 of hearts, everyone? Oh boy, oh boy. My computer is having serious problems today. What do we know about the 10 of hearts, everyone? We know that the 10 of hearts is their highest card. Thank you. It's the highest card that West has. So if it's the highest card that West has, then that means that both the ace and the queen of hearts are sitting over the top of your king. So is the bidding different on the sheet? Yeah, the bidding on the sheet might be 1 no trump, 3 no trump overall. But I wrote the hand up before I started to teach everyone 5 card major stamen. So I thought I'd throw in the 5 card major stamen for you just to see how it works. So we take the jack of hearts with full knowledge, everyone, now that the ace queen of hearts is sitting in the east hand. So we have to make what we call in bridge, in no trump play now, an avoidance play. If east holds the ace queen of hearts, who do we not want to gain the lead? West or east? Which player would be the danger hand? The danger hand, everyone, is west. Because if east gains the lead, they would have to lead around into your king of hearts. If west gains the lead, then west can lead through your king of hearts into east's known ace queen. So if that's the case, we've got to do our best to keep west off lead, which means that if we're going to take any finesses, the finesses must be through the west hand into the east hand. So, well, what tricks have we got? We've got 1 in hearts. We've got the ace king of spades. Spades could break 3-3, but if we do play for the suit to be 3-3, there's a chance that west will gain the lead. So we don't want that. Diamonds, we've got 3 top cards, ace, king, queen. So we're up to 6 tricks now. And in clubs, we've got the ace and the king. So we're up to 8. 8 tricks, we need a 9th. And the 9th can come from the club suit, everyone. We've got this 8 ever 9 never situation. Now, everyone, here's an interesting thing. Even if I held 9 cards in clubs, I would on this hand take a finesse through west. Why? Because that would be deemed to be a safety play. So if my 4 of spades was the 4 of clubs, I would have 9 of them, and I would simply intend to lead the 5 to the king, and then finesse, going against the odds of the suit breaking 2-2. If West plays low on the second round, I would finesse the club for the queen of clubs through West. Now that I've got 8, that's an obvious situation. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to play low to the king, and then I'm going to lead the jack from dummy. Now, if you're sitting here with the queen, should you cover or not? Everyone? If that's the dummy you're looking at, and you're sitting with the queen there, would you cover the jack of clubs with the queen? My suggestion is you shouldn't, and thank you, Stephen. No, you shouldn't. Why? Because South would be doing nothing more than tempting you to cover that card, especially on the second round of the suit. If it's on the first round of the suit, there can be a reason to cover. But on the second round of the suit, there very rarely is a reason to cover. And that's because the declarer may have 5 of them and hoping that you'll cover with queen to 3 when their intention is to play the ace anyhow. But in this particular instance, the declarer, once you do play low, has 100% guarantee for their contract by playing low. Jack wins. That's easy. Queen and ace. And now everyone, you've got 4 club tricks. You've got, the opponents will keep the right diamonds, hopefully. You'll take the ace, king of spades. And then the opponents will keep the 4th round of diamonds, and you'll take 10 tricks. So everyone, there's a bit to look at in that lesson on no trump play. And a lot of the time, people think that no trump declarer play is just simple. I play my longest suit. That there's a lot more to it than that. There's things like ducking. There's things like maintaining transport. There's things like understanding about unblocking and entries. And also, another important thing is making sure that you keep the danger hand off lead. Everyone, I'm going to open up the microphones. Thank you for joining us. Have a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday. And everyone, remember too that there's 2 duplicate sessions organized for next week. Tuesday at 1:30 and Friday at 1:30. Typically, it will be on Thursdays at 1:30 as well, but just not next week. I have a lesson for another group, but normally it will always be Thursdays, and then we'll add in extra sessions as time permits. Thank you, everyone, and I'll open the microphones now.